Okay, and then the next one I will explain about teacher learning center, which is I will discuss it deeply about the audiolingual method. So theory, I will give you some background about the audiolingual method first. The theory of language is underlying the audiolingual approach that was proposed by a few American linguists, and it is known as structural linguistics. The traditional approach to language has connected to the study of language to philosophy, and they call it this method. It's more complicated in grammar. And the next one, we are moving to the principles of audiolingual learning method itself. Number one is all instructions is delivered with target language. So for example, I'm Indonesian and then I want to learn English. So the instruction that will be given by my teacher will be in English. It's not in Indonesian anymore. Number two is the using of mother tongue will be limited, and teacher encourage students to communicate in target language in classroom. As I mentioned before, so it means that no Indonesian in the class, so we have to use English. Number three is we have to set native speaker of target language as our role. So for example, I will study English, so my role model is the native speaker, the native English speaker. Number four, error is the thing that was really avoided because it can cause students to make mistake again and again. So error cannot be tolerant in this learning method. Number five, positive support system and environment can lead the formation of good habit. Number six, the teacher must guide and control students' behavior in practicing target language. Number seven, students have to imitate what teacher said or the sound of the tape. Like 100%, they have to imitate the same as the tape or even the teacher said. Number eight, dialogue is the learning activity that used most. Through dialogue, students can learn the vocabulary and the structure with repetition and imitation. Number nine, memorization and drilling also used as language learning process. And then the last one is speaking and listening are prioritized. The next one, we are moving to approach. The theory of language based on the audiolingual learning method. So number one, language is primary speech, not writing. So a language even starts from the spoken form used by the society. There's no writing that explain a language. Likewise, when young children learn a language, they learn from the language speaking habit spoken by the people around them, not in writing. So number two is language is set of habit. So this method is also influenced by behavioristic views. A habit can be created by repetition and encouragement, and in this context, language become a verbal habit that can be built by providing explicit or implicit stimulus to the students. So number three is teaching a language is not about the language rather than teaching rules. This method teaches the language is an oral practice. And number four is the language is what native speaker says, not what someone thinks we should say. This is very contrary with what is applied in prescriptivism. Structuralists provide more space for native speakers to be role model in this language. And then the last one is language is different. They reject the slogan language is universal, because they believe that L1 will influence someone who is learning in L2. Therefore, the method doesn't apply traditional translation exercising in learning. All pure originate from the native speakers of the target language. So now we are talking about the objective in the audiolingual method learning. Uh, the objective imply three other things. The first one is control of sound, form, structure, and order in the new language. The second one, understanding the vocabulary that can bring the context, and then the third one is the meaning itself. On the other hand, for the long-range objective, students forced to have their second language same as the language of the speaker of the native speaker, and so students can become truly bilingualist. The role of oral skill become the very first stage, then followed by other skill as the learning develops. Oral proficiency is equal with accuracy of pronunciation, grammar, and ability to respond quickly in correct way. Lexical syllabus. The lexical will also be presented in different situations so that students can understand how to contextualize a word according to the situations. The language skills are taught in order of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Even though listening is taught first, listening will still be delivered entirely orally by the teacher. Teacher also will ask the student to read and write, but based on what they have said orally. So there is still possibility to learn writing and reading, but the students are forced to master the speaking and listening first. And here is the type of learning and teaching activities in audiolingual method learning. So the first one is dialogue and drilling. Teacher will use dialogue as an activity to teach students how to contextualize the structure, illustrate the situations, and which structure that can be used in target language by considering the cultural aspect also. So the dialogue is used for memorization and repetition. After the dialogue, the grammatical pattern in the dialogue will be selected and become materials in drilling students. So last but not least is the role of learning materials. Student textbook will be provided if there is a dialogue for drilling and exercising, and then tape recorder will have the central roles if the teacher is not the native speaker.